Good morning, everybody. My name is Susan, and I will be your facilitator today for Soul School Network on Sunday, March the 30th, 2025. And we are so delighted to have Lugh with us here today to open our minds to new ideas and new possibilities. And so I will invite you to join us in a meditation that Lugh will lead us in just to ground us and bring us together in heart and mind, and so that we can be very present for the message this morning. And Lugh is very open to questions and comments during his presentation, so feel free to raise your virtual hand or just unmute and put up your hand. We can be informal here. And I want to say welcome to those who are listening to the recording through our YouTube channel. And we hope to have you join us sometime. And we're just really delighted to be together on Sunday mornings. And so, Lugh, why don't I just quickly give your bio so that people know who you are, and then we'll go ahead then with the meditation. So here's what Lugh has told me. I first encountered the power of qi while healing from a debilitating back injury, guided by a Taoist master who shattered my expectation of what's possible. Over the past 20 years, I've immersed myself in bioenergetics, uncovering life-changing insights into immunity, emotional balance, healing, and even mystical abilities. Drawing from Qigong, Tai Chi, and Neidan, as well as ancient traditions like Egyptian, Mayan, and Andean practices, I now share transformative tools to awaken others to the limitless potential of a vibrant energy body. So, how fortunate are we to have Lugh here with us this morning? And I'll turn it over to you, Lugh. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I'm very excited. So I'm just going to lead you with a very quick Taoist meditation. So if you don't learn anything else about Taoism, but if you practice this for every day for the rest of your life, then I would consider you a Taoist. This is the absolute foundation of all Taoist practices. And it's basically learning how to, we breathe air rather with our lungs, but we actually breathe qi. The body has an ability to breathe the energy around us with our abdomen. And we call this in Taoism embryonic breathing. And this is how we exist in the invisible world. So I'll just take you through that. It's very, very simple. So get comfortable, sit straight. You're going to focus on what we call your Dan Tian. So that is I call it your body brain. It's the part of your body that works with the invisible world. Our head works with the visible world. So we're going to align our bodies. It's kind of like putting a record on a spindle, right? So you're going to focus on a point about 2 finger widths below your navel. And from the front to the back of your body, you're going to focus about 1/3 of the way in. So 1/3 of the way from the front towards the back. That's traditionally where the center of your Dan Tian is, of your primary elixir field. And when you focus your attention on this, and so it's like you're looking with your eyes inside of your body, you're not going to see anything, but your eyes could actually, when it focuses on a certain point, it starts to activate that point energetically. So we're going to focus on that point, 2 finger widths below your navel, 1/3 of the way inside of your body. And you're going to put a subtle downward intention on your diaphragm just to keep the energy contained in your abdomen. So I like to imagine that you have a heavy rock sitting on your solar plexus like a trampoline. That visualization helps to keep the energy contained in your abdomen. And very simply, you're just going to inhale. And as you inhale, you're going to imagine you're filling up your belly, just like a balloon, with the energy from all around you. There's an infinite amount of energy that surrounds us at every time. You can bring this energy inside of your body. So you're going to inhale, your abdomen is going to expand kind of like a balloon. And you're going to fill every kind of nook and cranny inside your abdomen with as much energy as possible. You're going to hold your breath for a couple of seconds and just observe, and then exhale all that energy that you just pulled inside of your body. You're going to exhale and condense it into your core. So this is how we charge the human body. We take the energy from all around us and we bring it inside of the body. And then you're going to pause, just observe, feel what's going on energetically, and begin again. So we're going to do that for 9 breaths. I'll just talk you through it. So let's assume we've done 1. We'll do 8 more. So focusing on your dantian, relaxing the body, no strain, no clenching whatsoever. Focusing, inhale, expanding from your core to the inside of your abdomen, filling it up like a balloon. Pause for 2 seconds, observe. Exhale, condense all that energy you've just brought into your body, into your core. Your abdomen is going to shrink in. And then just observe, right? So we call this box breathing. Inhale, expand, about 2 seconds. Hold, observe. Exhale, condense. Hold 2 seconds, observe. We're not just breathing air, we're breathing chi. So try to feel if there's any chi or movement happening inside. Inhale, expand, hold, exhale, condense, and hold and observe. All right. Inhale, expand, gathering chi from the 6 directions, up, down, left, right, front, and back. Hold, exhale, condense all that chi into your core. Inhale, expand. Exhale, condense. We're training the chi to flow towards us. We don't have to go and get it. It will come to us. Inhale, expand. Hold the breath. Exhale, condense. Inhale, expand. Try to bring chi. Feel what's going on inside. Bring chi into a place where it hasn't gone before. Expanding a little bit more every time. Exhaling, condensing it into the core of your body. 2 finger widths below the navel. 1/3 of the way inside of your body. Focusing the attention on that point. Inhale, expand, gather. Exhale, condense. We'll do that one more time. So inhale, expand, feel your abdomen fill up with as much energy, as much chi as possible. And exhale, condense that chi deep into your core. And then just relax, breathe normally, keep focusing on your belly, what we call your dantian, and which the Quechua also have a name for. We'll get into that later. And just see if you could feel, train your mind. A big part of this is training your mind to sense and feel the bioelectric energy that we call chi. And once the mind understands the feeling of chi, then you can do all sorts of magical things with it, which we'll talk about today. So yeah, that is called embryonic breathing. This is how you breathed in your mother's womb. You didn't breathe with your lungs, you breathe through the belly. And we can do that even as adults. But instead of amniotic fluid, we can breathe bioelectricity with our bellies. And that really is the entire secret of Taoism in a nutshell. You can end the interview right now. It's again, if you don't learn anything else, if you just do that for the rest of your life, you are a Taoist in my books.
Beautiful. Thank you, Lugh. Wonderful. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
you're very welcome.
Yeah, we feel ready. Please
Great.
take us on a journey.
All right. Yeah, so the best way to kind of tell the story of bioelectricity or bioenergy is to kind of tell my story with it. It was mentioned briefly in my little introduction there, but yeah, I was about 20 years ago, I was working as a carpenter. I was doing some pretty intense labor. I was also experimenting with some of these Taoist techniques. but in a very dangerous way. And I ended up injuring myself quite badly. I was teaching a class, someone asked me a question. I turned my head slightly to the side, and I felt literally like lightning going through my body. And I couldn't hold up the weight of my head, just kind of lolled to the side, and I collapsed on the floor, kind of like a marionette with its strings cut, with unbelievable pain going throughout my body. And yeah, I was able to get up, but I only had partial mobility on my left side, and I would wake up in excruciating pain every day, and I couldn't work anymore. I had to quit my job, and it was a very intense time in my life. And at that point, I wasn't into anything kind of woo woo or spiritual or outside of. I'm open minded, but at that point, I just needed to find something that worked. And the normal doctors, if there's no broken bones or slipped discs, then they're just like lie down and take drugs, which I was not willing to do at that tender age. Um, and so I just tried everything. I tried yoga, I tried shiatsu therapy, I tried Alexander technique, I tried Thai massage, and each would kind of offer a little bit of temporary benefit, but I'd be right back to basically having to lie supine every day for months, really. It was quite serious. But then a friend of the family told me about the proverbial old Chinese man teaching Tai Chi in the park. I had no idea what Tai Chi was. I thought it was kind of like a dance for old people. I thought it was kind of a weird yoga thing. But this gentleman, he was the real deal. He was born in the Wudong Mountains. I'm from Toronto, Canada, which has quite a massive expatriate Chinese population. We have a big Chinatown, but in the suburbs of Toronto, there's just block after block of Chinese stores and restaurants with no English words in sight. So there's actually quite a few very high level masters there. And I just got very lucky with one of them. He was born in the Wudong Mountains of China and been practicing Tai Chi and martial arts from the age of 6. He had to teach the class through an interpreter. And what I saw that day when I went to the park to practice Tai Chi, my jaw hit the floor. He taught an older style of Tai Chi that was a bit more martial looking. So, and I had no idea that Tai Chi was a martial art. But anyway, I pretty much knew from that day on that this would be something that I would pursue for the rest of my life. And this gentleman, Sifu Wang, Sifu being Chinese for teacher or master, exemplified um, he was like a role model for me, a way of being an adult human male that I had never seen before, experienced in any part of my life. So I was just utterly drawn to him, and he taught me through an interpreter many of the secrets of chi and bioelectricity. And not only that, but he exemplified them and just open lifted the veil on a world that I wouldn't have believed existed up to that point. So he, really opened my mind to what the human body is capable of and what's possible on this planet. Anyway, I after several months of practicing with him in the park, I got up the gumption to ask if I could train with his Chinese students in the suburbs of Toronto. It's like an hour and 15-minute commute. And I went to his, you don't call it a dojo in Chinese, but a Dao Chong, place where you practice martial arts. And it's a whole different ball game. You had all these young teenage Chinese kids doing flips and landing in the splits. And I was like, oh my God, I'm in over my head. And, I do some serious martial arts training, like, carrying heavy weights to lower my center of gravity. But I stuck with it for a couple of years until my teacher unfortunately had to leave back to China. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just find another teacher. And I practiced under several different teachers, different martial arts, but Sifu Wang really spoiled me. Did not find anyone close to his level, and I really haven't since. But since that time, I've been cultivating chi, bioelectricity, and through practice funny thing, when you start to accumulate bioelectricity in your body, you activate all sorts of hidden faculties of the bioelectric body that most people are ignorant of. And so many of these kind of new skills and abilities came in as an utter surprise. Like nothing I had learned or been taught prepared me for them. Like for example, if you cultivate your energy body, you strengthen this invisible antenna that's suspended from the human skull. It's kind of what allows us to stand on 2 feet without falling on our face. But if you cultivate your energy body, this becomes stronger and acts like an antenna. So turns out there's all sorts of non-corporeal beings and entities up there that are waiting for us to cultivate our bioelectric antennas. It's kind of like a radio antenna, and you could pick up cosmic signals from all over the place. And so uh, all of a sudden, I was bombarded with messages, and it took quite a while for me to kind of like decipher them and figure out what's up there. Um, so yeah, that's one example. But through kind of years and years of self experimentation and just learning firsthand and making kind of trial and error journey into this uncharted territory, I've been able to kind of piece together, um, largely from the Taoist tradition in China, which is probably the most sophisticated and greatest record of bioelectric wisdom that the earth has. But it's incomplete. I've been able to piece together what I call, and what this kind of talk is called, the lost science of bioelectricity, right? And the more I got into it, and when I eventually started to travel and explore ancient cultures from around the world, for me primarily in Central and South America, I lived for a couple of years in Guatemala, and I've been in Peru for a couple of years now, and it's given me a wonderful opportunity to really sink very deeply into the traditional cultures here. And what I have discovered, and what is turning into my life work, is that all these cultures and a lot of other cultures that I have a more superficial understanding of have not a similar but an identical understanding of the human bioelectric body. They have different words that describe exactly the same thing. And with my decades of experience with the Chinese version of that science, known as Taoism, it's kind of given me a master key to kind of unlock a lot of the bioelectric wisdom of these ancient cultures. For example, this might be mind blowing to some of you. So we were focusing on our what we call in Chinese your Dan Tian. So that's your energetic center of your bioelectric body. It is where your body stores all the bioelectric energy that is required to make the body function, to animate your body. Newsflash, you are not your physical body. Your physical body is the elements, minerals, water, uh, things from this earth that your bioelectric body has uh, charged and accumulated in order to create a vehicle for what is much closer to the essence of your being, which is your bioelectric body. The person talking to you right now is not my physical body, but the energy that is animating that body, right? So the energy that we use to animate your physical body is stored in your Dan Chen. So that's your Dan means elixir or alchemy, and Tian just means field or area. So this is where your body alchemizes the energy that it takes from the earth and from the sky to create the electricity, the bioelectricity that makes your body function. So in Chinese, we call that the Dan Tian. But we have a name for that in Quechua as well. And you probably have heard of it. It is your Cusco, or more properly, it's called your Cusco. So the capital of the Incan Empire. So I'm quite convinced that the Incan people and the people even before the Incan Empire, the pre-Incans, had this understanding of the bioelectric body. And being good Taoists, they created an empire that was a reflection of the structure of the human body, right? Of the bioelectric structure of the human body. So just like this grand central station of your bioelectric body is your Dan Chen, is that point just below your belly button there. They understood that the Incan Empire was the macrocosmic reflection of the human body, and that Cusco, the capital of the Incan Empire, corresponded to the energetic point or center in the human body. So that's just one of many examples. But the more I've explored these ancient cultures, the more the parallels between those cultures and the one that I'm most familiar with, which is the Chinese Taoist tradition, are again not just similar, but in almost all respects identical. And really, it is our culture, our European culture, or uh, that is pretty much the only. It's like an island in an ocean of cultures that has completely forgotten or suppressed, however you want to think about it, this bioelectric understanding of the human body. So it is pretty much only our culture that has lost the language to even describe these things. But the more I become familiar with these other ancient cultures, they all have a bioelectric language. They have words for these things that we do not have in English, such as Dan Chen in Chinese, Cusco in Quechua, the Andean language, Chi, bioelectric energy or living energy. In Quechua, they call that kaosai. They call the invisible world of energy that that surrounds us. They call it the kaosai pacha, or the world of living energy. So this is really what I do. I'm trying to piece together bit by bit through research and exploring wisdom traditions, but also as a good scientist through self-experiment, piecing together, putting together like a jigsaw puzzle, this lost science of bioenergy or bioelectricity. And I teach other people how to cultivate and empower their bioelectric bodies, because just like when we train our physical bodies, if we want to be like a ballet dancer or a weightlifter, we can, unlock all sorts of amazing abilities with our physical body. But those abilities really do pale in comparison with some of the seemingly supernatural abilities that become quite real if we cultivate our bioelectric bodies the same way that some people cultivate their physical bodies. And like I said, some of these abilities kind of came to me as an utter surprise. And I don't want to be the only one that's kind of exploring, playing with this amazing playground of the Kausai Pacha. So I'm trying to explain these ancient traditions and give it a language, a more kind of Western scientific language, because the more I'm researching the history of Western science, the more I'm realizing that we are just now catching up to where these ancient cultures were at. The importance of bioelectricity in the human body has been suppressed, and there's very interesting historical reasons for that, which we can go into if people are interested. For pretty much since the dawn of science, so since the late 1700s, it was Galvani. I don't know if anyone's familiar with him. Luigi Galvani, an Italian from Bologna, I believe, who lived in the 1700s in Italy. He was one of the very first to explore this new world of electricity. If you could imagine a time before we had this kind of everyday understanding of electricity, people did not know that, what they experienced as a static shock, and the lightning they saw in the sky or the sting of an electric eel was the same substance. They had no idea. It was really people like Benjamin Franklin with his famous kite and key, that discovered that there is this substance that was called electricity that was the common denominator between all these different phenomena. And once people discovered that, they looked everywhere for it, including the human body. So we know of Luigi Galvani from the word galvanize, and and galvanometer, something that measures electric current. But he was the first to really explore the possibility that the human body was powered by electricity. And so he did all these infamous experiments with frogs' legs, putting electric currents through frogs' legs until one day, without any electric current at all, he saw a dead frog's leg twitching. And so he's called the frog dance man. That's what people called him because he had all these kind of filleted frogs hanging, and they'd all be doing kind of the can together. And so he was utterly astounded and realized that this was conclusive evidence that all living things have an electric current in it, that our nerve fibers are fundamentally bioelectric. So that's at the very dawn of electrical science that we had this understanding. But it was derailed for hundreds of years, pretty much since the late 1700s until very recently, with some of the research that's only been done in the past few decades, because for so long, the whole idea that the body was bioelectric was considered quackery. And this was largely due to Galvani's great rival, Volta, where we get the word volt from, and voltmeters and all that sort of thing, voltage. So he combated Galvani's findings, and he said, no, electricity only comes from inorganic things, metal plates. There's a differentiate that was the frogs kicking their legs was a product of the differential of the different metals that were used to create an electric current in Galvani's lab. And so they had a big fight. Luigi Galvani proved his view was right, but it was overshadowed by the creation of the voltaic battery. So from that point on, electricity was purely the domain of physicists and technicians. So we only understand electricity as a purely mechanical thing that is produced by inorganic, acid and metals, things that like a typical battery. And for hundreds of years, the idea that the human body, that there's such a thing that of bioelectricity that exists not only in the human body but in every living thing, has been suppressed, and biology has been entirely the domain of chemistry. And biology has been studied, life has been studied simply as a mechanical, chemical thing, which has really led us very, very far off track of the true nature of what life is and what we are as human beings. And it's only now in very recent years that scientists are finally finding it impossible to deny that the nature of all life is fundamentally bioelectric. So I'm here to bridge East and West understanding of what bioelectricity is. That this may be very, very new to us. We've been kind of through a dark night of the soul of materialism and all the consequences of that on the human race. It may seem new to us, but for pretty much every culture on the face of the planet except for ours, this is old hat. It's been known for thousands and thousands of years. And not only that, but a lot of these cultures have developed this science of the invisible, this science of bioelectricity, to a level of sophistication that rivals the level of sophistication that Western science has with regard to the purely material world. So the time, in my opinion, is long overdue that we complete the picture of what it is to be human and what the nature of life is on this planet by putting these two understandings together in the yin yang symbol, right? Half the world is material, what we understand the material world that we connect with the five senses, which with our head, what in Chinese we call our upper Dan Chen, or upper elixir field, or upper alchemical refinery. But we connect with and we study the invisible world with our what I call our body brain, which is precisely that um, center of energy that exists in your abdomen that we were just breathing into a few moments ago. So if a Taoist is someone that, just like the yin yang symbol, sees and understands and exists simultaneously between these two worlds, the visible world of matter and the invisible world of energy. Yeah, that's what I'm here to do. And yeah, I could go deeper, but if anyone has any questions or yeah, now's a good time.
Thank you, Lou. It's so fascinating. I've got lots of thoughts circulating. I see that Debbie wrote in the chat a question for you. And don't know if she's saying is Danchen or the same as the sacral chakra. Don't.
Oh yeah, Dan Chen is the same as the sacral chakra. So yeah, this is an interesting uh, question because this will allow me to go a little bit deeper. So most people are familiar with the yogic system, which has the seven chakras and the Kundalini energy. And for a lot of people, the Taoist understanding of the human energy body is not anywhere near as familiar. Taoism has not experienced the same PR success that yoga has, but the two understandings are completely complementary. There's no contradiction between them whatsoever, but they have a very different emphasis. So yes, yeah, the lower Dan Chen, we should be clear that we have three Dan Chens, or three primary energetic centers in the human body. So your abdomen is one, your thorax is the third, and your head, I mean, your thorax is the second, and your head is the third, right? So we actually have four bodies. We have more than that, but on this plane, just to keep it simple, we have four. You have your physical body, um, and then you have four what I like to call octaves of energy of your energy body, right? So the even chakras, so the second, the fourth, and the sixth, correspond to the center of each of those bioelectric alchemical fields. So each of these centers bioelectrically produces or alchemizes a different octave or a different level of energy. Uh, and then the odd numbered chakras correspond to the the barriers between those three uh, centers. So the urogenital diaphragm, being the first, the solar plexus being the second, your neck, your solar plexus being the third chakra, your neck being the fifth, and then your Sahasrara chakra at the top corresponds to the what is basically the positive pole of the bioelectric battery that is the human body. So yes, it does correspond to the chakras. Um, but we just have a different understanding. So the even numbered chakras produce energy, and then the odd numbers balance each of those three octaves of energy. So if they're all healthy, if one is too electrically charged, then it can share it and share it with a different part of your body to balance and even out all the energy in your system. So the energy that's produced in our lower Dan Chen that we were just breathing into, that's the foundation of all the bioelectric energy in your body. This is your microcosmic energy. So this is the energy that stays within your body and allows all your organs, all your sinews, all your kind of biological functions to work healthily. I call it your health body. If you have a lot of chi or a bioelectricity stored in your belly, and your first goal as a Taoist or someone that wants to cultivate your bioelectric body is to open and learn how to store as much energy as you can in your belly. This is your raw material. So you need as much of this type of chi. This is the lowest type of chi possible in order to undergo higher alchemical functions. So your first job is to accumulate as much of this chi in your body. So I call this your health body. If you have a healthy ball of living bioelectric energy in your belly, and you could trust me, you will almost never get sick. So people can't believe it when I lived in Guatemala for 2 years and I never got a parasite. I don't get colds. Yeah, and that's because things like parasites, bacteria, they cannot live inside of your body unless there is a bioelectric environment that they can live off of. So, uh, and they like to live off dense, trapped energy, um, which stagnant chi. So if there is no stagnant chi in your belly, if you're always refreshing it, just like we were now, bringing in fresh bioelectricity from our environment, expelling dense trapped energy from the body, then we can store a ball of living energy in your abdomen. And when you do that, there is no medium. There's no bioelectric or energetic medium for things like parasites or bacteria to adhere to. They just go right through your body. Um, so that's the lowest octave of energy. That's your health body. Your first goal as a Taoist is to conquer health, right? Then the second octave of energy, this is the your heart center. So once we have an abundance of chi in the belly and we have a healthy body, then we could go on to further refine our energy. And this is what I call your astral energy. So the chi in your thorax, in your chest. This part of your body is responsible for alchemizing a higher level of bioelectricity, and this bioelectricity has the ability to pass into and out of the human body. Whereas the abdomen produces the chi that stays within your body, your chest produces chi that can flow in and out of your body. And this is your emotional body. So when someone is angry in the same room as you, they are sending off very powerful bioelectric signals that escapes their body and it fills the room. People can feel it, and some people are more sensitive to it than others, and it will start to affect your bioelectricity. So this is your emotional body. So just like you can't feel if I have an ache in my knee, you can feel it if I start crying or yelling in anger, right? So that energy goes into and outside of the human body. So when we start to refine and alchemize this energy, just like we created a healthy physical body with the lower Dan Chen, we create a healthy emotional body with the middle Dan Chen. So the Taoists believe that our emotions are stored inside of our body, that our organs produce different emotions. And when they are very healthy, when they are abundant with bioelectricity, then it starts to refine and transform what we perceive as negative emotions like anger and agitation or worry or fear. They refine them into what we call virtues. Um, uh, so it's not because we become good people, not because we try to be a good person. Look at me, I'm such a good person, but because our bodies is like a prism that can channel the virtue that exists all around us in nature. It's not just humans that are virtuous being. All of nature has virtue. We can become like a prism or a channel for that virtue, and so that's the second stage of alchemizing, is to cultivate virtue. So we're not just looking after ourselves, but we are acting in alignment with the people around us. We are in service to our environment. There's no friction between our needs as individuals and the needs of others. That's what happens through alchemizing the second. So I call that your emotional body. We have our health body, our emotional body, and then finally we have the upper Dan Chen, and this is where we cultivate power. So if once we start the final level of alchemization, this is what gives us the abilities to what they call in Quechua and the Andean tradition, pushing the cow size. So the ability to manipulate and tell the chi what to do. The human body is designed to command and to control chi. And that's what gives us what seem to many outsiders to be miraculous or magical abilities, but are quite scientific, quite a different science than Western material science. Uh, but so the entire body is, I like to call it, the body is the Tao in microcosm. So the human body is the greatest creation of the Tao. It contains all the secrets of the Tao within it. Um, uh, so it encodes this kind of spiritual journey from matter back to spirit. So the body really is your initiator in the Taoist tradition. I like to say what the Bible is to Judeo-Christianity, the human body is to Taoism. And it teaches us, that's how all these ancient cultures had this exact same understanding, is because they calmed their mind, they took their attention outside of the world around them and invested it inside their body, just like we were doing at the beginning of this meeting. Um, and that's how they all came to the same conclusions, because we all around the world we have the same bioelectric body. So the body encodes this alchemical journey from the material back to spirit. But as we can see, the body will not grant us this power to control the forces of nature for any length of time unless we first cultivate unselfishness and virtue, what we call Dai in Chinese. So some of you might be familiar with a book called the Tao Te Ching. That's what that means, the way of virtue. Dai means virtue. So it's really talking about cultivating the bioelectricity of the heart. That's where we cultivate virtue. Um, so yeah, I can go deeper, but that's what's coming through with your question, Debbie. I hope that helps.
Thank you. Greg has his hand raised. Go ahead, Greg.
Hi, Lou. First of all, I want to say you're an incredible presenter. I just love the way you put things into such simple terms. I was thinking you must be a writer or a journalist to be to be this way. I think others would agree with me. Um, what I wanted to ask was it related to a point you made about how Western medicine really doesn't want to adopt energy as a sort of a focus for healing. And why is that? Is that because the drug makers would lose out?
uh, Great question. First of all, thank you for the compliment. I taught creative writing for about 15 years part-time when I was working as a carpenter in Toronto. And my other passion, other than Taoism, is literature. So anyway, your instincts were on point there. But uh, but yes, this is a very good question, and again, it has a very deep answer, or depending on how deep you want to get into it. Um, but but first of all, like as I was saying before, medical science is very slowly, well, actually at this point, quite quickly, but after like an extremely long delay, catching up the the truth and the power of bioelectricity to heal. Um, so just in the past decade or so, a lot huge advancements have been made in medical science using electricity, for example, to regrow tissue, human tissue, right? So we all know that when you cut off a salamander's tail, it grows back. And in the mid 80s, a pioneer in modern bioelectrical research, was his name Becker? I can't remember his first name, but he wrote quite a great book, a groundbreaking book called "The Body Electric." And so he did all this research on how salamanders and other creatures, they grow back their tail, and he just he saw that there was quite a electrical differential in the tail out as it was growing back. And they've since then made quite astounding progress in using electricity to help, if you cut off the tip of your finger, they can use electrical stimulation to speed the growth the regrowth of that. And they're doing experiments. Unfortunately, it's mostly the army that's doing this on using electricity to really help hone concentration and all these other things. I don't think that this is a safe or sustainable way to do it. That by far the safer, although it's definitely playing the long game, is to cultivate bioelectricity naturally, which is what people have been doing for thousands of years at least from around the world. And that those methods, that is the core of what I teach. But for pretty much since Galvani's time, bioelectricity has been relegated to quacks. And the thing is, once you explore the bioelectric properties of the human body, you are truly opening Pandora's box, because that is the gateway into the world that science has to, with some, some understanding, it has to kind of put a distance between what it does, which is to study the material side of reality. It's unfortunately convinced itself that that's the only side of reality, but we don't have to believe that part. We can study science and use that to complete our more holistic, balanced picture of the universe. But from their point of view, once, like, that's just not their wheelhouse, right? They use the five senses to study the world. In order to study the bioelectric world, you have to cultivate chi yourself. You have to cultivate the senses and the ability to perceive bioelectricity. And we do this not with our upper danchen, with our five senses, but with our lower danchen. And they simply do not have the train. It's just not part of their wheelhouse, right? So that's the major reason. And because we've kind of separated culturally electricity into the world of technology and the inorganic world, and completely separate it from biology. Over hundreds of years, we've built an incredibly complex technological apparatus on that, and that's completely transformed the way humans think and behave in the world. And we're I would say we're at a crisis point with that, right? We know there's research that people have done that the EMF waves, we've completely polluted the world, like in ways that would have staggered even people that lived in the previous generation. I don't know if many people know this, but back in the year 2000, I think there was maybe 1,000 or so satellites in the sky. There's now about 10 times that, and they are all beaming powerful electromagnetic frequencies, bombarding us from all sides. And this, I believe, causes all sorts of health issues that did not exist before the world was electrified. So the time has come for us to acknowledge that the human body is bioelectric, and that we are filling the world with potentially harmful bioelectric waves all around us. And this regime benefits powerful people, right? Like, it's the people that are running the world that are putting all these satellites in the air. And to understand the world bioelectrically is a massive paradigm shift for humanity. It would completely upturn the technocracy that benefits financially and powerfully from the world that we live in now. So they're not particularly excited to have a paradigm that is way past its due date to be overturned, because that would overturn the very basis of the hegemony that puts them into power. And I would say that is really the underneath everything that we've seen happen in all these crises over the past decade or so, that it really comes down to this, underneath it all, this battle between two completely different paradigms.
Wow, makes so much sense. Thank you. Who else has a question or comment? for Lugh. Okay, I do.
Okay.
So, Lou, I'm thinking about the auric field. People often talk about auras and colors and what they see around, which I imagine to be the it's the electrical field, perhaps, that is the result of this inner work. Would that be so? And then further, I've had people speak about how plant medicine, which we know is used a lot in the Sacred Valley, some would say excessively recreationally, and how this affects our energetic body, our bioelectrical field. And I wondered if you have any comments on those matters.
Oh boy. Um, Absolutely. So, with regards to the aura, um, so like I said, we have three bioelectrical generators in our body. We call them the three danshens, um, and they correspond to the three levels of reality that we see in all traditional cultures from around the world: the ukupacha, the kaipacha, the hanapacha. Um, and each of these bioelectric generators creates a field. Uh, so our lower danchen, if it's very healthy, it corresponds to a bioelectric field that exists just under the surface of the skin. So if you have a very healthy bioelectric body, like I said, the lower danchen works with the bioelectricity inside of your body. So it's very healthy. It kind of contains it keeps all your chi inside, right? That you need for your to make your body function properly. And so that kind of like surface that keeps all that chi in, we call that a wei chi field. Wei just means external chi. So once we have a healthy lower danchen, we create this healthy bioelectric kind of skin around our body. And what it does is it prevents us from picking up what are called the external pernicious influences. So if there's someone's coughing and has a cold, if you have a good wei chi field, a good protective field, it will filter out those negative influences from getting in your body. Uh, Also, things like cold. If it's very cold, then it will keep your heat in. If it's very hot, it will keep the warmth. It'll keep your body cool. So it really helps you to deal with extreme temperatures. And I've also found that it prevents bugs from attacking you if you have a strong wei chi field. So, but once you start to cultivate your middle danchen, so that's your emotional body, this creates a second field that is actually a couple feet outside of the body. And this corresponds to what most people know as the aura. So it does precisely what your electric skin, I like to call it. It keeps out kind of things that would attack your physical health. If you have a healthy, strong auric field, which is generated from your middle danchen, from your middle generator, then that naturally keeps out emotional influences that would be of harm to you, right? So if someone's angry and screaming, if you don't have a healthy auric field, you're going to pick up on that emotion, and or you're going to be more manipulable by propaganda or group hysteria. I'm sure people could think of some examples of that. If someone is very susceptible to these things, then that shows that they have a very weak auric field. So strengthening your middle danchen acts as a natural filter. It invites things that are in harmony. So it just naturally attracts people that will be in harmony with your field, that will have something to aid, to help you, to aid you on your path through life, and will naturally keep away people that do or have harmful energy or toxic emotions, right? Yeah, and then the upper danchen projects an even vaster field, which I could talk about some other time. But that's generally the Taoist bioelectrical understanding of your aura. Um, your second question. So yes, Uh, People work, with medicines. I have worked with medicine um, for a long, long time. I've experimented with them quite a bit, but I'm definitely at a point where I don't feel anywhere near as called to work with them. But plants are bioelectric too. They collect, they produce specific types of bioenergy from their environment. Uh, and because they are not as susceptible to the harmful lifestyles that most humans on the planet entertain, they have things that they have good chi that we can bring into our body to kind of fix what we are lacking in, right? And in our culture, we are cut off tragically from any understanding of we've sunk so deeply into materialism that we've cut off from ourselves any true firsthand understanding of the bioelectric world, the invisible world that is the gateway into the spiritual world, right? So plants do not have that. They have not been indoctrinated by hundreds of years of materialist ideology. So we can take some of these plants that correspond to, so some plants can benefit our health body, some plants can benefit our emotional body, and some plants can benefit our power body. So the plants that people work with enhance they have something that we have lost as human beings, right? And they can remind us that the human body has these capabilities of seeing and interacting with invisible worlds, but because they are a gateway, and there's a reason why our neuroreceptors match perfectly the molecules in these plants. It's not a coincidence, right? They are made for each other, right? They vibrate on that same frequency. But a plant is only a part, right? Uh, so they can introduce us to. They could remind us that we have these abilities, but they cannot reproduce them for us. They can only lend us their power for a short while. And if we do not cultivate them endogenously or ourselves, then people just keep taking them and taking them and taking them, thinking that by doing that, they can kind of artificially reproduce this power that is innate to all human beings. It's a shortcut. But when you do that, you're bypassing both your health body and your emotional body. And so when you go into the spiritual world without refining your health body and especially your emotional body, all you do is you are attracting or resonating with things in the spiritual world that are a reflection of your microcosm. So if there's any kind of shadow emotions or any kind of power or sexual things that you haven't dealt with, all you're going to find by going in the spirit world, the spirit world is no better or worse than the human world. It's just more. So if you go into the spirit world with some darkness or unprocessed density in your body, in your bioelectric body, you will resonate and attract and really make a bridge or a portal for these darker negative energies to enter into this world. And living in the valley for as long as I have, and another powerful energetic places where people are experimenting excessively with medicines, I've seen this darker side up close, and people kind of deny it, right? So yes, plant medicine can help remind us that we have these abilities, but they cannot reproduce it, and they cannot safely gain us entrance into the spiritual world. We gain the human body is designed just like plants are to work with and connect with the spirit world. Just like I said, we have an antenna that comes out of our head that is precisely designed to communicate with beings and entities with the other worlds. But with the Taoist way, first we have to have a healthy body. First we have to have a healthy emotional body and a powerful aura, so we can go into that world and be protected from darkness, right? We have to become virtuous people before we are lawfully, before we can safely go into the spirit world. And people that rely on medicines as the sole means to connect with this world are yeah, dangerous, I would say. Yeah.
Wow. That's all
Yeah.
I can say. Wow. There's just so
Shots
much to
fired.
think
Yeah.
about with that. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's just the reality in the Sacred Valley,
Yeah.
and if people knew this, they may feel more responsibility to the inner work before they embark on that journey, or at least, take into consideration these teachings. So thank you for that awareness. Yes, Michelle, you have a question or a comment, please.
On the topic of auras that you were talking about, there is something, a symptom in epilepsy. Well, they're considered seizures. They're called auras. There's no loss of consciousness, but the symptoms are seeing lights, feeling strange sensations like deja vu, um, things like that. And I always wonder if those two were related, like the aura body and then having these kind of seizures, I guess.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I did look into that at one point, the what the bioelectric understanding of seizures is. It's not fresh on my mind at the moment, but I will say that there, so just in general, that you can be physically sick, right? You can have when you go to the doctor, for the most part, what they treat are symptoms that show up in our physical body. But the physical body is really just like the bark of a tree. It's the very outer surface of what we are as living beings. So you're really just kind of seeing the outer, if something is emerging in the physical body, that means it's something very deep in your energy body that has gone so deep that it's now emerging into your physical body. But and that's what doctors treat. They can only kind of treat the outer surface, right? They can't really get to the root of it. The root of it is your bioelectric body and ultimately your spiritual body, from which your bioelectric body flows. So things like epilepsy, things like schizophrenia, things that what I have dealt with, a lot of these are especially things that medical science can't get a grip on, like fibromyalgia or especially chronic fatigue, things like that. And what I was suffering from with my injury was not a physical injury; it was an injury to my bioelectric body. And one thing I've discovered in this long um, journey of healing, like I've had quite a traumatic childhood, and I healed a lot of that through bioelectric cultivation. But that we also have what I call astral woundings, right? And that could be, and that shows up in your aura. So, for example, if I had a physical or even like a chi issue, like if I had a physical, like a broken bone, I can go to a doctor. If I had like, I don't know, diarrhea or something, I can go to a traditional Chinese medicine person that could get acupuncture. But then there's wounds to our auric body. I call this astral wounding. And this does not show up in any kind of particular location in your body, but it's a wound to your aura. So, for example, if you've had an abusive childhood, it can create massive lacerations in your aura, and it could actually create punctures that will invite negative energy from higher planes into your life, right? And that can result in schizophrenia, madness. In Chinese medicine, we call these traumas heart shock, which means that it's a wound to your second Dan Chen, or second energy generator. And when your middle Dan Chen is functioning properly, like I said, it will attract energy, emotions from other people that will be in alignment. You're gonna, attract good friends. You're gonna attract good lovers. You're gonna, right? But if you have received trauma from this area, either through a very traumatic event or more commonly through childhood, especially in the womb, that's when a lot of damage happens to the middle Dan Chen before the heart develops protection. So the child can really pick up negative energy from the mother, right? Like that was my experience. And what that does is it programs the middle danchen with it will with whatever negative energy. And it seems like you're going crazy. Like for example, you keep attracting the same kind of like abusive partner over and over and over in your life. It's not a physical injury, it's not, but it's devastating, and it can make you feel like you're going insane, right? And that's because your auric field is programmed with this negative pattern, and it will always attract that pattern over and over and over again until you really clean out, which is very difficult work to do, really clean out uh, that pattern that's been programmed into your heart chakra, or into your middle Dan Chen. So that's what I call astral wounding, right? So things like epilepsy, things that medical science cannot treat, we can treat through bioelectricity. And having been through I've been through, like I went through most of my life having something that is called blazing heart fire, right? I won't go into what that is, but it continually repeated traumatic experiences over and over and over again, and there's nothing I can do to avoid it. But once I made that diagnosis, it was a revelation for me, and it made me think, like, how many people on this planet are suffering from various different kinds of astral wounding, or and have nowhere to go, or no one, doctor, they treat it with drugs, they treat it with you know things that kind of numb and shut you down and prevent you from feeling things, which is the exact opposite of what we should be doing, right? How many people are suffering from these undiagnosable diseases, at least undiagnosable by the Western medical system? How important is it in this day and age to bridge this gap between a bioelectric understanding of illness and wellness, and the physical Western one? So that's really galvanized me, to use that word, how important it is to share this wisdom with the world.
Yeah. Again, wow. I mean, some of you would know this, you would maybe don't. I'm a nurse of 40 some years now. And what I've witnessed in terms of things that, could be healed, we know could be healed. It's just that Western medicine doesn't know the way. And so it's looking to the things you're speaking about, because healing, the body is made to heal, right? It's just giving it what it needs and investigating a path such as you're talking about to nurture the body, build our energy, to be able to overcome, because there's nothing the body can't heal if it's given the right things. Would you agree?
Well, absolutely. But the ironic secret is that everything we need to heal us. So another way that Taoism is traditionally described is healing without medicine, right? So there's nothing outside of the body that does not also exist inside of the body, right? Plants, that's why plants work on the human body, is because there's something in the plant that corresponds energetically with something inside of the body. So the entire world is medicine. So yeah, we can get it from plants. It's a big Herbalism is a big part of it, but ultimately, those are just kind of stepping stones or training wheels to reawaken the bioelectric body. And the bioelectric body is as capable, like it just can get it exactly from where the plants get it. And they get it from the primordial polarization, the pure yang of heaven and the pure yin of earth. It's that kind of bioelectric polarization. Electricity is the result of polarized energy. All life on this planet is the coming together again of the pure yang, positive energy of heaven, the pure yin, negative energy of earth, just like you have those are the two poles. And the coming back together again, right? It is that creates all life on earth. That's why we see that all living things exist at the very threshold between heaven and earth, right? The roots go beneath the earth to collect the yin, the branches reach up to heaven to collect the yang, and they bring them together. So the human body is actually the one thing on the planet that can attract the most powerful yin and the most powerful yang. We have access to greater power than any other living thing on this planet, for better or for worse, right? So ultimately, what we need to heal is all around us in infinite abundance. We're never going to run out of yang qi from heaven. We're never going to run out of yin qi from earth. The only thing that determines how much of that energy we can draw into our bodies is what I call our bioelectric bandwidth. So the more that we heal, the more we get rid of dense energy, what is called in Quechua, in the Andean language, hucha. So dense trapped energy. Once we release it, the more bioelectrically conductive the human body becomes, and the greater access we have to the pure yin and yang of heaven and earth, to a greater degree than any other medicine can supply us. So what we need to heal is an infinite abundance all around us. The only secret is to create space, welcome more and more of it in, to align ourselves and submerge ourselves ever deeper into the big picture, the matrix, the macrocosm, the matrix of creation. Yeah, that's it.
Lou, do you have a book to recommend for people who are new to all that you're saying, which is me for sure, and others, no doubt?
So I'm often asked this question, and so the way I describe this is unique to me. This kind of bridging of all these different cultures and giving it kind of like a more kind of, my work is to kind of extract like a science of bioelectricity from all the jargon that you will find in a lot of Taoist books, right? Because we do not have a language for this. So a big reason why there's a big gap between our knowledge and Chinese knowledge, although it's ever more being bridged through the undeniable efficacy of traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture, is because it's so jargon laden. You basically have to learn Chinese to put words, because we don't have words for this and we don't have an understanding, right? So that kind of bridging, finding ways to describe it, that's really my work. And so a book is coming for sure. And I do have a website that I'm putting together that I can share with everyone. But the one person that has really done the most to bring this Taoist wisdom to the West, for better or for worse, is a man named Mantak Chia. I'm sure some people have heard of him, and he's written many, many, many books since the 80s. His older ones are far better. You could see Awaken the Healing Light of the Tao is kind of his core textbook. It's quite large and it's got an amazing, amazing information in it. That's what introduced me to it. But I recommend him with a bit of a caveat. So one thing we haven't gone into today, which is kind of the root of it all, is that bioelectricity is fundamentally sexual energy, right? So we cultivate bioelectricity by cultivating sexual energy. So the energy that most people feel chi and experience bioelectricity through their sexual feelings, right? So to cultivate your bioelectric energy is to work with that energy, to keep it inside of the body and to refine it and refine it and refine it. And so he introduced that to the West, but he really kind of presented it as a means, especially for men, to become sexually superpowered, which is very, very attractive. It certainly was for me. But these teachings were far too advanced, right? To get to that level, you have to do a lot of work to cleanse and release a lot of trauma and do a lot of work. So he kind of dangled the carrot in front of people and really shared what were very dangerous exercises to do unless you've spent a while cultivating your bandwidth, your bioelectrical capacity, right? So that's how I injured myself, was doing that, and was finding like a real Taoist, like someone that showed me the true path to this, that helped me come to this understanding and the level of health and cultivation that I've accomplished in my 20 years since then. But so I would recommend Mantak Chia for information. There's great information there, but I'd be very, very careful with doing some of his exercises, because you can hurt yourself quite a bit. So yeah, and that's the experience I went through. So what I do is I help people do it safely, quickly, but safely. Yeah. So yeah, that's all I could recommend in terms of books.
Thank you, Lou. So I gather by what you're saying then, and people here may want to know, so you work with people only in person, or do you do that online, or is this something that you offer?
Yes, of course. This is my life's work. So, but I'm just at the level where I'm organizing and putting my teachings out there to a wider audience. So for the longest time, I just kind of work individually with people one-on-one or small classes. But I'm working on a website and online course on just the very ABCs of cultivating bioelectricity, and that's called Beyond Hua Academy. I'll spell that out for you. I'll put it in the comments. BIANHUA hyphen academy .com. There we are. So BIANHUA hyphen academy.com. So Beyond Hua is Chinese for transformation. So it's when extreme yin becomes extreme yang. It's at that point of singularity when one extreme energy becomes its other, and it just means transformation. So Beyond Hua Academy. I call it my bioelectric self-development academy. So you could check it out right now. It's just got a kind of like a landing page and a little bit about me and some information about bioelectricity, but I'm just now in the process of putting together my introductory course. So I kind of get everyone, this is the ABCs of bioelectric cultivation. Do this for a while, and then once you've kind of gotten to a certain level of feeling the reality of bioelectricity in your body, then we can go deeper, because like I said, you know, the things you can do with bioelectricity are staggering and infinite. There's really no limit to it. And some people are called to work with it in different ways than others. And so that's when it gets exciting, right? That when people start to feel this and realize that the human body is capable of so much. And then I really want to guide people like, okay, do you want to cultivate bioelectric energy to do martial arts, to heal people, heal others, to talk to aliens, to channel energy from the stars, to, there's nothing, there's limitless possibilities. So that's when things get exciting. And people find, just like people have different physical gifts and abilities, that when they start to awaken their bioelectric body, it activates something that in Chinese is called your Ming, or your destiny. So your bioelectric body, you've all been given gifts that are unique to us as individuals. And I can't tell you what that is. That only kind of emerges through these things won't come online unless they have some juice, unless you have some power to activate them. And that's when I can help guide people towards that and help them understand what's awakening in them and give them some tools to go. But I can't teach it all. I can only kind of give you some tools, and then sit back and see what comes up in your own personal Tao, your own unique journey. But yes, aside from that, I have a small handful of people that I work and train one-on-one, and that's when things get exciting, because I can tailor my teachings. I have a big toolkit to whatever is coming up for you, or what your specific wants and desires are, right? And so yes, that's what I do. Anyone's free to uh, work with me one on one,
Is that only in person or can that be done online?
in person or online. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Wow, amazing.
Oh,
Congratulations.
nice.
Exciting.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah, you
So,
caught me
who
in an
else?
exciting time.
We did, and
Mm.
I'm just excited about the whole matter because I just love all the possibilities. And so, tell me who else? Anybody else have any question or comments for Lou before we sign off for the day? Oh, Debbie says, are there particular exercises outside of the deep breathing we can do to improve our energy?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what I taught you, like I said, that's the foundation of Taoism. It's learning how to breathe with your energy body, how to breathe qi, right? We breathe qi with our lower dantian. We breathe air with our upper dantian. What our lungs are to air, our kidneys actually are to qi. They are our qi lungs, right? So you're just a little secret. The health of your kidneys is proportional to your um, connection to the bioelectric world, um, which is another unfortunate consequence of being cut off from the invisible world is the epidemic of kidney disease that's sweeping developed countries. But that's a whole other story. Uh, so yeah, that's the foundation. Whether you want to do martial arts or qigong or shamanism, you have to learn how to breathe qi energetically. So yeah, that is consistent throughout. You just do that all the time. But because most of us have spent so much of our lives disconnected from the invisible world, just doing that alone can take a very long time to totally transform and release all the hucha or bound, stuck, dense energy that's trapped inside of your body. Uh, so yes, I have some secret weapons that uh, safely and quickly speed that process up. A way to really pull in nice big chunks of chi from your environment to work with. So first we have to learn how to bring in energy from the external environment and keep it inside of the body for our use. And so you can do that kind of naturally with what we call uh, embryonic breathing, what we were doing before. But yeah, I have some special techniques that will radically bring in a lot more chi in your body at once. And yes, you have to be careful with that because if you have too much chi inside of your body and you haven't cultivated places for it to store it or to flow, then it can burst out, and that's what happened to me. But I've created like the core of my teaching is my system that I've tried every single technique under the sun, and I've really honed it down to a few very very simple techniques, and I have 3 stages uh, of cultivating and putting your and reawakening your energy body. And yes, I've found all sorts of techniques from all. I've tried everything, and I found what really really works. And yes, so yes, I have some secret weapons that I could tell you about some other time.
Fantastic. Thank you. Greg has his hand up. Go ahead, Greg.
Yes, and I know we're way over time here, so I'll try to ask you a very short question. I know that sound and music are, um, frequency and energy. Is that something that in Taoism you use? And is there some piece of music or sound that you would recommend we might experience?
Great question. Yeah, absolutely. Sound and intonation is a huge aspect, a whole branch of Taoist energy cultivation. Some people make more use of it than others. So yeah, you could use external sounds which vibrate and resonate with different parts of your body. You can use it to kind of break up dense chunks of hucha or stagnant chi. If someone has the skill and ability to match, to understand what frequencies work with different parts of your body. But ultimately, for the most part, Taoists will make healing sounds. So your mouth and intonation and through tonality, just like we were using our focused attention, we were focusing on our abdomen. We can use that focused attention. It's your focused attention that controls chi, right? It's one of the abilities of the human body that people don't understand, that whenever you're focusing your attention on something, you're sending energy to that point. So most of us are sending our energy into our cell phones or onto pretty things or pretty people or whatever it is in the external world. But when we bring that same focus into different parts of our body, then we are in the longer we maintain that focused attention on parts inside of our body, we begin to activate and awaken and bring movement to those areas. And then when we are focused on that, we can use different intonations to move the chi. So, for example, one of the most famous qigong sequences is the 6 healing sounds. So each one of our organs corresponds to a different type of energetic movement, right? And so Taoists use different sounds to help remind that organ of its function if it's offline or damaged or something. So, for example, the kidneys store what in Taoism they call water chi, and water chi is not like physical water. It's just an image that represents chi sinking, just like water is always seeking the bottom of things. Water chi is chi that is sinking down, right? So if we have, for example, if you have deficient water chi, then you might be constipated because the energy is not going down. But we can focus on our kidneys. We can do a lot of our kidneys, and we could use the kidney sound, which is kind of like, it's like blowing out a candle, or like a breeze, Arctic breeze. So that helps to remind the organ of its function. So yeah, each of these organs responds to different types of sounds that can help awaken and remind them of their function if their function has been compromised. So yeah, that's an entire branch of Taoist bioelectric science.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Wow, seems to me we have lots of work to do on our energetic bodies.
Well,
And
it's
you've opened our minds to a lot here.
you could call it work, but I'll just finish with this one thing. So I live in the Andes. I'm sure many of us here do. Where they've had this science of the invisible for millennia, although it's where they're losing it. There's fewer and fewer people that are capable of pushing the cow side because it takes a long time to train it. But the word they use for working with the invisible world is pukyai, and pukyai means play, right? Because it's an infinite world. The physical world around us is finite. The world of living energy is infinite. So we can never catalog everything around it. The idea that we can just know everything about the invisible world is impossible because it's always changing, it's always innovating, it's living, it's always going beyond itself. So when you're working with your bioelectric body, it's not work, it's play, right? You're playing with it, you're learning from it, it's teaching you and you're teaching it. And that's the Tao, is this dance between the internal and the external, where we're threading them together. And it's play. It's absolutely wonderful. It's not work at all. It's an absolute joy that only continues to improve your life more and more beyond what your mere upper danchen can expect or imagine.
Amazing. Thank you for that clarification, because we have enough work and more play.
I know. Yeah.
More play is needed.
Working with chi is play. That's what it responds to, is that light, playful. If you look at nature, if you look at flowers, it's the expression of joy, and you're working with sexual energy. You are expanding and filling your body with sexual joy and jouissance. So it's people think, oh, something you have to work towards, or something that has goals way off in the future. It's like, oh, but I want it now. Again, it's the Tao. The journey is the destination, and it's that sense of play, wonderment, becoming. Just like when I met my teacher, he made me feel young again. He was like, wow, there's so much more to life than I ever knew about it. And it's that eternal curiosity and growing and pukyai and play that makes your life more and more interesting, and just unlocks more and more secrets of the universe. And you don't want to get to the end, like then it's over, right? So that's the mindset of wonder, which at one point was what the root of all philosophy and science, going back to Aristotle, that we've forgotten about, that we need to get back in touch with in order to heal our relationship with the world around us, which wants to engage in this eternal play with us, right? So that's just what we're stepping into when we bridge the gap between the macrocosm and the microcosm.
Well, what a beautiful way to finish the conversation this morning. Thank you so much. And you may notice, if you joined us after the very beginning, that Lugh has his name as Jalu on the screen, which means rainbow body, and seems very appropriate for our conversation this morning. And thank you so much from the bottom of my heart and the top of it and every other part of me for being here and for sharing. And the recording will be on YouTube because there was so much shared. I'm sure people may like to go and listen to that again and go over what it is. And of course, go to your website, which is exciting too, and under development, obviously. And so there's great opportunities to work with you. And we appreciate that so much. And so on that note, I invite you to visit the Soul School Network website. We appreciate your feedback. We appreciate your donations that help support our Zoom platform, our website, and other expenses. And we invite you to share your ideas for guest speakers, for topics for open mic. As you know, we are open and really want to meet your needs, whatever they may be. And so we like to close off with the mantra of unification. And so I will lead us in that. And so I just invite you to lower your gaze if you wish to, close your eyes, whatever is best for you. And here we are. The souls of all are one, and I am one with them. I seek to love, not hate. I seek to serve and not exact due service. I seek to heal, not hurt. Let pain bring due reward of light and love. Let the soul control the outer form and life and all events, and bring to light the love which underlies the happenings of the time. Let vision come and insight. Let the future stand revealed. Let inner union demonstrate and outer cleavages be gone. Let love prevail. Let all people love. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lugh. Thank you for everybody for being here today. I know that there's 1,000 places you could choose to be, and you chose to be here with us, and I very much appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll stop the recording.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you so much, Susan. I really